we were promised for literally years, and I think it was a central part of Trump's campaign that we would have the Epstein list. And that has fallen through completely. So I want to hear your take on it, and we can just get into some sort of conversation. I have some counterpoints that I've heard that I'm curious what you would say to.
You saw Trump's statement where he says, are we still talking about Epstein?
Right.
Who cares about this?
Right.
So what do you think?
Well, it's tricky. On one hand, I think that Donald Trump could be on the list. That's what people are talking about. On the other hand, what I'm having a hard time with rectifying is the fact that the Democrats would not have put it out. And the counter argument to that is, well, maybe there are Democrats on there, and maybe we shouldn't be looking at this from a left-right perspective. Maybe we need to look at this more from an establishment, or, you could call it a deep state perspective versus the common folk. What's hard for me is when I see the Democrats go in so hard on Trump to get him jailed, for instance. Why would Biden not take some part of the Epstein? We call it the client list, but there's no list. It's thousands of pages of data that someone could make a list from. And so why would the Democrats not release 50 pages that incriminate Donald Trump rather than not posting them at all? That's a question that I have. So I'm kind of in the middle on it. I just don't really know what to think about it.
All right, let me give you an interesting perspective. So when I was running for Congress, when we were getting close to the end, we were having a lot of momentum, and I had this guy who was just barely retired. He's a Green Beret, and he says, "Jason, I want to meet with you, and let's do lunch. I want to talk." So he had retired. He said he'd been working in D.C., and he says, "I want you to understand, if you get back there, what you're facing, because we all get so frustrated with representatives who say all the right things, have good hearts like you, and then they get out there and all of a sudden, within a matter of time, it seems like they change."
Right.
And he says, this is what goes down behind the scenes. He says, when you get out there, you will have a team of literally 10 people assigned to you, and they have one job. Whether it's girls, boys, women, money, their job is to find your whatever your vices and compromise you.
Gotcha.
Get it, record it,
so that they have dirt on you.
Yes.
Yeah.
And he said, and then here's the thing he told me. He says, no one goes more than 2 terms without getting owned. So, and this is where I appreciate, perspectives where people talk about whether you call it secret combinations or organized, however you want to call it. But the fact of the matter is, they are allowed to call each other out. They will fight each other, and they truly, I think, a lot of them are in opposition to each other and have different, ideologies. Mm-hmm. But the fact of the matter is, what they know is there's some lines you don't cross, because if I am taped doing things that I never want out, and you are taped doing things that you never want out, and this is why all of a sudden Epstein has to disappear, because it's in everybody's best interest to keep those tapes, that information, out of the public's eye. Now, outside of that, I can call you out on all sorts of dirt. I can call you here, but there is a line we don't cross.
Yeah, that's
and
too
we
dirty
don't cross
too.
it because, and I don't care. You name any politician, and I would take on any politicians. I don't care who. Mm-hmm. I would sit down with any politician, including Mike Lee, and there's no way they could tell me what I'm talking about is not real. They all know what's happening. So why all of a sudden, does no one care about it? Because nobody wants what's on there to be known. And I'm telling you, I think the thing that would surprise people is how compromised almost all of our politicians are.
So I agree with that, and I see where you're coming from. I would say my biggest counter argument that I feel, and I've heard a lot of people mention, is when you look at politics and you look especially at some of these bureaucrats, the incompetence is so high. And so for me, I look at this and I do believe that there would be an incentive out there for them all to get dirt on each other so that it's a it's a ring, you know, for example. But at the same time, there are so much incompetence. Why is there not some sort of whistleblower or someone who has access to that information who's not an elected official, just a rando? How does that not get leaked? Because for me, I'm seeing the Trump administration, and there's leaks left and right. When it comes to Iran, there's leaks here. And maybe those leaks are planned. That could all be planned. It could just be so perfect. But my skepticism in me tells me, wouldn't something get leaked? Wouldn't something look bad? Or maybe something has been leaked and I'm just missing it.
I mean, you look at Snowden, you look at how many whistleblowers end up on the other side.
Sure,
you know what I mean?
true.
I mean, that stuff happens.
True.
Like, let's not pretend that what's gone on around the Clintons. You know what I mean? We go
Right.
back to that. We forget about that all the people that end up, you know, missing or you know, again, it may sound, you know, like conspiratorial, but also there's a level of like, let's not be naive that this type
Sure.
of evil and this type of corruption
Sure.
at the greatest empire in the history of the world, where there's so much power at stake, to think that there's not organization behind it. They think,
Right.
no, there's look, you go look at Hollywood, okay? You see one of the things you see all the time. You see this imagery, the you know, the one eye stuff, and you can see it all over this. You know, how many of these different celebrities you'll see doing this, the secret.
Yeah, the videos are crazy.
Yeah,
The
including the
videos are
little
crazy.
sh. What
Right.
is that secret? Mm-hmm. The secret is there's things going on behind the scenes, right? To think that there's not a darker underbelly to the political, to Hollywood, to in this country, honestly, it is naive. It is naive to think that there's not a darker underbelly. And especially when you see the symbolism over and over and over again. And I think to me that, and everyone will, I mean, you could take a poll with every one of your listeners, say, do you believe this is a left, right, or good versus evil? And everyone says, no, this is good versus evil.
Sure. For sure.
To think that evil is not organized, especially if you're a religious person, and where it's literally all over in scripture that this type of stuff would go on before. So I'm tired of like, look, I'm not here about, personally, I don't really care about likes and this and that. To me, I'm in a fight with truth. I am in a fight against tyranny, against those things that are taking away our freedoms and our liberties, that are destroying the Constitution, that are destroying the fabric of our society. And I will fight that fight wherever I find it. And we used to fight it, you know, with exposing, you know, smart cities, exposing Marxism, exposing what's going on in our schools, exposing, you know, Agenda 2030, exposing, you know, there's so much there. But the reality is, the more I've fought this fight, the more and you know, especially when you look at Epstein, you look at P. Diddy, you'll start to, there's an underbelly below it all. Mm-hmm. There's something beneath it. And to me, I'm beyond chopping up it, you know, focusing on again, all the different political problems. And I want to focus on the root of the issue. And the root of the issue is what we're talking about. And no one wants to talk about it because
Right.
it's heavier, it's dark. But the fact of the matter is, there is organized evil. I mean, when you have literally satanic symbols popping up everywhere, statues popping up in different, you know, city halls, when you in Hollywood, there's something going on. Mm-hmm. You know, you look through. I mean, it is, and to me, if I'm going to be alive in this time, in this time of the history of the earth, and fight, I want to be effective. I want to make a difference. I want to, and I'd rather focus on the root of the problem than sitting here like we have been in the past, like I've been in the past, you know, fighting all the topical issues, the left-right garbage. Mm-hmm. It's not left-right. And that's what they want, right? They want us divided. They want us fighting each other, because when I'm fighting with someone on the left, and I mean, look, let's talk about Mike Lee's bill. Okay. I don't care where you stand on Mike Lee's bill, but the fact of the matter is, they tried to make, you know, you had farmers pushing against that. You had ranchers pushing against it. You had hunters. You had conservatives. They were saying, hey, I don't like this. But what was all the narrative coming from our politicians? oh, the left is spinning this out of control. The left is putting out so
right.
much propaganda. Oh, the left. Why? Because they're trying to trigger us into thinking, oh, yeah, the enemy is the bad guy. So I've got to do the opposite, which is I got to stand with Mike Lee. No, it's not left, right. I mean, all of these people are pushing us more and more progressively into, again, you look where we're headed at AI governance. Mm-hmm. You look where we're headed the wrong direction. We're not heading towards more freedom. And so, look, the founding fathers are very clear. You cannot trust people in power, right? I think it was George Washington that said government is not reason. It is fire, and it is a dangerous servant and a fearful master. Mm-hmm. They were terrified of what history has shown that people in power will do. And so everything that they did in creating the Constitution was to protect the people from people in power and to limit what their ability to create tyranny. And now all of a sudden we're supposed to say that, no, anyone who's a Republican is a good guy. All those people in power are good. We don't need to hold them accountable. But as long as they're not Democrats, mm-hmm. They want us in the left-right narrative, because when we're in that paradigm, it allows Bush to get away with pushing the Patriot Act.
Right.
Okay. It allows Trump to roll out with
Palantir.
Palantir.
We're going to talk about that in a sec.
And where's the right? Oh, well, we need it because it's for our, because it's our guy. As long as it's not Biden.
Yeah.
And so, again, I think we need to get back to where our founding fathers were, which is we don't trust anybody in power. We trust we the people. Mm-hmm. And so, anyways, that's where I'm at with a lot of this.
Yeah, so to me, and for my viewers, we're both based in Utah. To me, you're one of the biggest fighters in Utah. This is difficult for me, and I think that this is true for my generation, is there are a lot of us who want to do something on the left and on the right, but they're fighting this boogeyman. Yeah. There's not a person or an idea to fight, and so we don't know what we're looking at, and what you've kind of identified it as is evil. But in your opinion, how do we actually pragmatically fight the evil that you're talking about?
That's a great question. I think step one is be aware of it. Well, let me ask you. Be more specific in your question, if you don't mind. Like, help me understand this. Ask me that again, a little bit more specific.
Yeah, so a lot of people talk about like the deep state, for example, and they talk about how that there are these underlying powers in Washington that are not elected, or maybe they are elected, and they talk about that, but it's like, okay, what do we do with that information? Like, sure, we can sit on a podcast, we can talk about it, we can talk about how evil it is and how awful it is, but what are we going to do about it? What is the actual substantive action that we can take in order to get rid of that?
Yeah, that's the right question. I appreciate that. And I want to say this too. I have the most mad respect for you and your generation. Like, I love seeing the fire that's coming out of, this younger generation of men and women, and this return to principles, return to mm-hmm. What this country is founded upon, and this rejection of the wokeness that's gone on. But the answer to that is, at least I believe, lies in, because what we're talking about is tyranny, right? There's always been a battle for the agency of man against tyranny. And one of my heroes is Alexander Solzhenitsyn. Okay, he wrote the Gulag Archipelago. And he was one man who ended up in a gulag, in a prison, where people were being tortured. I mean, not that far off of what was going on with the Jews in the Holocaust. I mean, the torturing was insane. It was like these guards sat around for fun. They would imagine ways to create pain, to torture these people. And it was just you can't even imagine the sick things these people did. So he's in this gulag for years of his life. And what can one man do against such evil? Well, what he realized is what he can do is he can speak the truth. He can expose it. He can use the most powerful thing God gave him, which is the logos, which is what you're doing here, right? Why do you do this? Because there is power in communicating. There's power in speaking. There's power in the spoken word. God created the world using the logos.
Right.
So, and one of the things he basically said, he says, one man who tells the truth can bring down a tyranny. So he wrote basically when he got out the Gulag Archipelago, and it was nearly cost him his life several times, but he wrote this book and it got out. Well, they actually give him credit for bringing down the whole communist regime, for bringing the Soviet Union to its knees through that book, because the world was living in a lie. The West, we were living in a lie. We were living in the lie that communism was good, that it worked, and that it was producing these great fruits. Evil and tyranny always rest in lies, in deceit, in darkness. Mm-hmm. So the most powerful thing against tyranny or against the lie is the truth. That is why, what is the thing that these people fear the most? The truth. That is why they are so focused on censoring. What was their biggest fear? What was, call it the deep state, whatever, the thing they feared most during COVID was what?
Free speech, the truth.
Free speech, the
people
truth.
Talking about it, yeah.
So it was censor. Because they fear light. Mm-hmm. Light is truth. What was it that brought us out of that and that shut down all that the mandates and the garbage that went on those years? It was people speaking. And this is what's cool, and this is what I think is an amazing thing right now, right? Like, this is why this should matter so much to your listeners and to you and to us. Like, for generations, for decades, the world has been controlled by a few select people that own the mainstream media, right? Like, the mainstream media was able to control the thinking of almost all humanity. Mm-hmm. And when that was created, I mean, it was easy, because if you owned the mainstream media, you controlled people's thinking. You controlled the narrative. And right. Plato said, "He who tells the stories rules the world." Very important quote. He who tells the stories rules the world. When you own the stories, you rule the world. You rule what's in people's thinking. This is what's awesome about right now, about the time we live in. And this is why that we're seeing so much incredible things happen right now, is because for the first time, power has been given to the people through citizen journalism. All of a sudden, people like you, people like Joe Rogan, people like me, some of us who are just nobodies, we got a microphone.
Right.
I can share what I'm seeing. I can share my perspective. And all of a sudden, in a world where people are starting to see that and wake up because of that, people are starting to see, wait a minute, this is true. And they were able to figure out that the whole narrative behind COVID was a lie. So we're in a point right now where the people are gaining power, and our power comes through our ability to communicate truth and share truth with one another. So for the first time, the elite are losing power because they're losing control of the narrative. And we are the ones now telling the story. Mm-hmm. So this is an amazing time. And this is really a battle. And people don't realize how significant of a time and shift in the world this is right now. This is a battle between we the people and the ruling elite. And the battle is over the narrative. So back years ago, this type of stuff, they could control the narrative. They could keep stuff like this, in the Epstein. No one would know about Epstein, right?
Right. That's what's so crazy.
But now, because of this, people know, and so all of a sudden is just like Alexander Schultz, and we have thousands of people who are able to do millions of people who do what Alexander Schultz did, which is shine light on the truth, which is what they fear, right? They operate in secrecy. That's what Hollywood. It's these politicians, and again, I will take any politician. And there's no way anyone can challenge what I'm talking about, because they are all tied up in this secret. But the thing the darkness fears the most, the evil, what is the truth? So what can we do? Speak the truth. Because the more people start to speak the truth, and the more the truth gets out, the more light that gets out. It's like the emperor who wears no clothes. Right. Their power rests in us going along with the illusion, right? That the emperor is wearing this amazing outfit. But once enough people start to say, wait, he's wearing no clothes, this is all a lie. Mm-hmm. All of a sudden, look, tyranny only works when the masses go along with it. It only works but the minute the masses rise up and realize their power, tyrants are always few in number. They always lose. And so when the masses awaken to their awful situation and they recognize what's happening, there's no limit to the power that we have, especially when we're aligned with God. So what can we do against such, in such times? Speak, talk to your neighbors, share content. I mean, fight the battle for truth, for light. I mean, this is you know, if you're a religious person, you believe in, in that we've always existed. I mean, isn't this what the fight has always been about? A battle for the minds of men. Mm-hmm. It's the same fight. But right now we have been given a huge opportunity to truly change the world through through the logo. And that's where each individual has a microphone. And as this information spreads, and as we refuse to bow down to this new narrative that these people are pushing, that that this stuff doesn't exist, that's where we win. But the minute we sit back and say, well, there maybe, and go along with the lie again, that's when they win. And so again, it's the same battle it's always been, but this time, for the first time, we're coming to a real battle where who's going to win out? Will it be the masses? Will it be the regular people with the microphones? Or will it be the few, the elite, and the mainstream narrative? And they can't handle this. We saw that during COVID. They lost. They lost.
Totally. Yeah, everyone knows now. In that same vein, guys, I wanted to let you know Jason does fantastic work. Go check him out at wearethepeople.org. And then also We Are the People Utah is your handle for Instagram and YouTube as well.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Perfect. Yeah, go check him out. Fantastic work. Growing your business is amazing, but it's very, very difficult. Accountants, sales guys, marketing specialists, they're all essential for scaling your business, but it can be incredibly expensive, and the quality of the talent that you're looking for can be lacking. And that's why I partnered with Leverage Assistant. Leverage Assistant connects American businesses like yours with those accountants, data analysts, marketing specialists, sales assistants, you name it, working in the exact same time zones as your business for a fraction of the cost. The average company right now is saving over $20,000 in labor costs with Leverage Assistant. Leverage Assistant isn't a recruiter. It's not a marketplace. It is a high-touch resourcing solution. Every assistant is vetted through 12 hours of interviews, skill tests, reference checks, and behavioral assessments to ensure that they're the right cultural and operational fit for your business. Right now, they're being incredibly generous with just my viewers. They are giving all the businesses with me just 1 month completely free. You don't have to pay at all. You get 1 month to see how great the talent is for yourself. Go check it out right now. In order to get that great deal, go to the link in the description below.